Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Boland. Thank you all for joining me. So I just discovered that an 83-year-old pro-life campaigner was shot. She didn't die, but she was shot after having a discussion or basically an argument over whether or not a certain bill should be passed in her particular state. And I guess this other person didn't agree with it and shot them. 83 years old. Woman survived. She's okay. But let's get into this article. And I'm going to explain to you based on what I have read from not only this article, but from another article that I wanted to read from the beginning, but can't find it anymore. All of a sudden, it just disappeared. So let's get into this article, and then I'm going to give you my commentary on this. But this is just insane, man. This is insane. This is getting worse and worse. But the article starts off, an elderly pro-life volunteer is recovering after she was shot during an apparent dispute while canvassing a Michigan neighborhood. The 83-year-old woman from Iona County was passing out pamphlets on behalf of Rights to Life of Michigan on September 20 when police say she was shot in the shoulder after, quote, an alleged verbal altercation at her home in the area. The woman then drove herself to the Lake Odessa Police Department and reported the incident, according to Michigan State Police. She was transported to an area hospital and was later released, authorities said. According to statements, the victim was shot, quote, while leaving a residence during a heated conversation by a man who was not involved in that conversation. The victim does not know the identity or motive of her shooter, according to the statement. So I'm just going to leave that right there. You can read the rest of that article on your own free time. But I want to coincide that bit of information from an article I read in Breitbart News concerning the same incident. Now, according to the Breitbart News article, it gave more information on it. Come find out that the person that shot at the pro-life, pro-life supporter was the husband of the woman that the pro-life supporter was arguing with and had this debate with. That somehow and then the article says, and Breitbart says that the man said it was a mistake, that he didn't mean to shoot her. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But according to the Breitbart News article, it says the man overheard the pro-lifer debating and arguing over this incident, this situation with supporting life. And I guess apparently the wife was against it. And the wife apparently said, according to the article, I'm not interested. You're trespassing. Okay, I'm not interested. So according to the Breitbart News article, and I'm paraphrasing it, and if you can find that in the Breitbart News, find it. But I read it, and all of a sudden I can't find it when it came to me time for me to do this video. But anyway, somehow the husband heard, and he came out, and I guess there was an altercation, whatever, and he ended up shooting the woman. Now, my question is this. This is my question. Why did you bring the gun to begin with? Now, it could be argued, okay, he's an elderly man, and his wife, by the way, I think his wife was, I think the man was like 70 something. According to the Breitbart News article, says he was like 73, 74. So clearly he was an elderly man. Clearly the wife was more like an elderly, I'm pretty sure. And the woman that was a pro-lifer was in her 80s, okay? So it could be argued that, okay, he overheard his wife arguing with someone, and being an elderly man, he probably was scared, and he got up and took his gun, got out and went out to see what was going on. But here's my argument. I can understand that part. But when you saw that the person was in her 80s, she probably would not have been much of a threat other than the fact that there's a debate going on. Now, according to the article, it states that, according to the Breitbart News article, states that the pro-lifer who was campaigning this area kept pushing the issue. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Okay. And The wife was like, I don't, you know, I don't want to, I'm not interested. You trespassing, this, that, and the other. And somehow she ended up getting shot, according to this. And I'm not saying that the Breitbart News article on this was absolutely correct, because maybe the reason why I can't find it because they got the wrong information. Who knows? I don't know. I've had that situation happen before, especially when it's subjects and topics that are trending. You got to catch it when it's there and start speaking on it when it's there, because if not, it's hard to find it. It went all the way down to, and I don't have time to be doing that. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, my thing is this. Okay, whatever the case may have been, once you found out that this is an 80-something-year-old woman, she probably wouldn't have been much of a threat to you. Okay, I get it. She kept pushing the issue, but to threaten her with a gun, even if it was a mistake. Now, I don't know all the details. It could have been that maybe there was some physical altercation going on there between the man's wife and the pro-life campaigner. There may have been some physical altercation. There may have been some finger pointing. But my thing is this. Why didn't you just call the police? Because this woman is in her 80s. More than likely, she didn't have a weapon on her. And she's in her 80s. More than likely, she didn't have a weapon on her. What kind of a threat could have even provoked you to shoot her? Now, you may be asking, what's my point? I think you know where I'm going at. I just did a video about a week or so ago in reference to a man in his 40s who ran down an 18-year-old kid and killed him with his car. Ran him down with his car and killed him. And then confessed that he believed that the 18-year-old was a extremist Republican. And I suggested in that video that the reason why this man did this, in my opinion, was because he had been radicalized by people like Biden, who made a statement in a speech, and y'all know what I'm talking about, accusing Trump supporters as being radical extremists, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because what evidence do we see other than January 6th, which is what they keep constantly bringing up, as anything radical or a threat or extremist? I mean, well, January 6th could be deemed to that, but is that it? You don't have nothing else except January 6th. But the point is simply this. He says these words, and I said in a video that I believe that man was radicalized. Now, the article says that he was intoxicated. The 40-year-old was intoxicated, which may have impaired his judgment, obviously. But his judgment couldn't have been too impaired because he was cognitive enough to know or at least believe that this 18-year-old was a radical Republican, an extremist Republican. You was conscious enough and cognitive enough to know that. So you couldn't, the liquor couldn't have too much impaired him. Same scenario here. I believe with these senior citizens here arguing back and forth that he didn't like the fact that clearly he must have been pro-abortion. I'm assuming clearly, and got angry, and somehow something happened and he ended up shooting this woman. Thank God she lived. Now, the other part that I wanted to address is the pro-lifer. If in fact this pro-lifer, okay, this woman doing this campaign, pro-life and so forth, was pushing the issue that she shouldn't have done. She should have used better discretion and said, oh, you don't want, okay, no problem. Have a good day. I've said this before. I don't have discussions. Very rarely do I discuss politics in person with people, especially if I sense that they're Democrats or liberals. I don't do it because my experience has been, for the short time that I've been a conservative since 2016, that's 6 years. I guess you can consider that short in comparison to others, but it's long enough to know, okay, I got to pick my battles wisely. And if I sense that the person is angry and bitter and don't want to hear the other side, don't want to hear my opinion on it, I don't even bother. I do all of my opinionating and opinion giving on my YouTube channel. Now, I get backlash from that as well, but that's okay because I can cuss you out in the comment section, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just joking. Okay. Well, I don't have to see you in person. I can just comment with you in the comment section if I so choose to. But I'm merely giving my opinion, just like you're merely giving your opinion. But I don't have these discussions with people. I stopped doing that. Unless I feel so led to, I stop doing it because it causes too much tension, too much arguing. And my experience has been that people on the left tend to be bitter, hateful, and they get into name calling. So I'm not into that. I'm not into that. So I'm not finna, so, you know, and I feel that this person that was a pro-life supporter, this 80-something-year-old woman that was shot, should, if in fact this is accurate, should have said, okay, you don't want me to put, okay, no problem. I'll respect that, and went on about her business. Because according to the Breitbart News article, stated that the woman persisted and tried to convince the wife that, hey, why not? Why wouldn't you want to support this? Why not support life? I wouldn't try to convince them. If I see that you're resisting and you don't want to hear it, I'm not going to even bother. I'm not going to even bother. Why frustrate myself and anger myself to the point where I'm bitter to want to even get into this? I've learned that my lesson. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Forgive the bad language, but it ain't happening. I pray for the person. I pray the person see whatever, but I'm not going to go through all of that. So this is an unfortunate thing, but to sum this video up this way, I believe whichever one, if the Breitbart News article that I can't find anymore, if it was accurate in its assessment and its reporting, and this is what happened, I personally believe that this man, the husband that shot this woman, because he claimed this pro-lifer was pushing her viewpoints on his wife, I believe it was politically motivated, that he was pro-abortion and against pro-lifers, and he had been radicalized regardless of his age. This affects everyone, young and old, that he decided to shoot this person because there's no other reason to shoot this person, even if he claims it was a mistake. According to the Breitbart News article, stated he said it was a mistake. He didn't mean it. Even though it was a mistake, why would you be bringing a gun to the situation when you found out that there's an 80-something-year-old woman? What threat did she pose other than the fact that she had a different viewpoint? I'm just saying. That's my view on it. I think he's been radicalized. And to sum this up, you're going to see more of this kind of stuff come closer to November. You're going to see more of this. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. But this is a sad, sad scenario. And I think it's about high time that people should just start saying, look, I don't agree with your view. I don't agree with your opinion, but that's your opinion. That's your view. Amen. You know, whatever. We live in America. We all have a right to express our views. Freedom of speech. As long as you're not inciting people to violence, or you're not going into a movie theater and hollering fire when there's no fire. Clearly, that's not what it's talking about. But clearly, freedom of speech has to do with freedom of your religious beliefs and freedom of your political views. And you have the right to express that. What's hard to understand about that? Why is that so debatable? The way I see it, what's there to debate about? It's clear. Based on what I just said, it's clear. Let everyone be, even if their opinion makes you mad. Oh my God, their opinion makes me so mad. They don't know what they're talking about. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, fine. We're in America. Thank God we're not living in some of these other countries where you couldn't all express your opinion about your political views towards the government in particular, because if so, you will be rounded up, put in prison, or even killed. And you know, and we know that's the truth. That's history, and that's even now in certain countries. So that's what I had to say about that. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again.